The referee for today's game is Jerry Markbright. Joining them are 4 members of the NFL 75th Anniversary All-Time Team. Pro Football Hall of Famers Otto Graham, Ray Nitschke, Joe Green, and Gale Sayers.
Good luck. San Diego is the visiting team, and we'll call the toss. Captain Brock, this is the coin to be used. This is the head. This is the tail. Please call it in the air when it's flipped. Otto, will you do the honors, please? Tails. Tails is the call. It's heads. 49ers win the toss. You want the ball, your choice of goal. Swing around, gentlemen. You've won the toss. You'll go receive. Good luck, gentlemen. Good luck. Thank you.
And the first question now that comes into play is with the 49ers receiving. Is it a smokescreen, or will Deion Sanders go back to receive the kick along with Dexter Carter? Apparently he will not. There he is. And of course George Seifert throughout the week has talked about the possibility of Deion not only doing that but also getting in offensively as well.
And he has worked. He returned kickoffs yesterday and special teams work. We were out at the practice session. We watched him work out of a slot formation with out and up, and he just blew by cornerback Eric Davis. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see him on offense.
And meanwhile, visibility inside Joe Robbie Stadium has been greatly reduced. The pyrotechnics that we saw during the national anthem, that's actually better than it looked like. There's a great shot from above. It is lingering inside the stadium. It is not cleared yet, and it's hazy.
It's like a scene from a cabaret. As John Carney, who has found a home in San Diego, he's one of those kickers like so many others who just bounced around. He'll kick off to the 49ers, who have been a fast-starting team throughout the season. In fact, the 49ers have had a propensity to pass a lot more than run in the first quarter of games this season.
And you know what, guys? I think this is a good break for San Diego, because if they're to make a statement in this game, I think their defensive unit is the one better suited to make it. They are a stronger, more physical unit than their offensive team. They didn't score a touchdown in either one of their first 2 playoff games in the first half. So if I was going to start the game for Bobby Ross and the Chargers, I'd just as soon have my defensive team do it. Now, that all sounds great as long as San Francisco doesn't have a 12-play drive and march for a touchdown. But this is the unit that I'd want out there to make my first hit of the ballgame.
Dexter Carter, who averaged 23 yards per return this season. A little better than the league average. Joe Robbie Stadium at 76 degrees, 82% humidity, and Super Bowl 29 is underway with a short kick that is taken up at the 17-yard line by Carter. And Dexter gets taken down at the 26-yard line. The tackle is made by Andre Coleman, and the game begins with a penalty marker. Jerry Markbright, the referee, is refereeing his 4th Super Bowl. He's the first man in history to ref 4 Super Bowls. And one of the men he'll confer with is Ron Botchin, the umpire, who is an original, there he is with a U on his back, an original Charger. He played with the LA Chargers when they were born in 1960.
Personal foul. Face mask. Number 54. Kicking team. 15 yards. First down.
So after good coverage on the kick, Doug Miller cost him 15 yards.
Boy, and there's a great look at it right in the middle of our camera as he goes to the ground. He's just dragging down number 85 for the San Francisco 49ers, Ted Popson. And boy, that was excellent job of catching that one. And you hate to see fairly good work by your special teams thrown out the window.
Here are the Niners now at the 41-yard line. They had Waters split to the right as a wide receiver and give it to the fullback, William Floyd, for a pickup of 4 to the 45. The 49ers now offensively with Young at quarterback, Waters really came on toward the end of the season. Floyd, a fabulous rookie year from Florida State. Taylor and the fabulous Jerry Rice. Brent Jones, the tight end. And then the men up front. Wallace, Sapolo going to the Pro Bowl. Oates, the former Giant. Deese and Harris Bart, who tore his triceps on opening night and missed half the season. Healthy now. 2nd and 6 from the 45. And with Floyd in motion and no backs behind Young, he goes to the air and hits Taylor. And John Taylor has the ball into San Diego territory, and that's a first down. Seau and Gibson, the 2 linebackers, make the stop. Now, San Diego defensively, the base 4-3. Mims, Lee, Davis, a great acquisition, and Leslie O'Neal has been there since '86. Griggs, Gibson, and you all know about Seau and the secondary, and they'll be tested tonight. Gordon, Harper, the corners, Harrington and Richard to the safety. From the 44, they fake it to Floyd. Young to the air, Young to Jerry Rice. Touchdown, San Francisco.
Well, that's quite a statement their defense made.
The lightning bolts were just hit by one.
Jerry Rice, his 5th Super Bowl touchdown, splitting defensive safety men. And it was almost like they were paralyzed there, almost like they were looking for an autograph as he went by.
Well, the first pass to John Taylor was just a 3-step drop, a quick release. This time Young goes back a little farther, and you can see Richard in the trailing position in the middle, and 29 Carrington, both safeties for the San Diego Chargers. It's their responsibility to handle the middle of the football field. And Frank, I have dumbfounded as to what they're doing.
Good move to the outside on Carrington. He obviously expected help from the inside. From Richard, he didn't get it. 6 points, and this is the worst thing that could have happened to the Chargers.
Doug Bryan, the rookie, for the point after. The game is 1 minute, 24 seconds old. Jerry Rice has become the first man in history to score 5 touchdowns in Super Bowls. 7-0 San Francisco. Super Bowl history, 124. 7-0 49ers. Doug Bryan sends it skyward. The rookie Andre Coleman out of Kansas State, a 3rd-round draft choice, has done a nice job all season. Gets tackled by Adam Walker. Great coverage by the 49ers. And Stan Humphries will take over at that spot. Stan Humphries, selected by Washington in '88, traded a couple of years ago to San Diego. Streaky. Natron Means, the bull with a lot of speed, plows over people. Jefferson and Say are the wideouts, and they play a 2 tight end set with Young and Papuno. Then the guys up front, Swain, a rookie Isaac Davis, Courtney Hall, one of the best, Capuzzo, and Stan Brock in his 15th season, the longtime New Orleans Saint, finally makes it to a Super Bowl. First down, the Niners put 5 men up on the line, and they give it to Natron Means, who squirms for 3 to the 18-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Now, San Francisco defensively, and they're really strong up front in the middle. They've got Brown and Ricky Jackson on the outside, but Bryant Young, the fabulous rookie from Notre Dame, and Dana Stubblefield, the tackles. Woodall is a rookie, Plummer, the ex-Charger, and Ken Norton Jr. seeking his 3rd straight Super Bowl ring. Davis is the only one of those 4 not going to the Pro Bowl. That's how good that secondary is. Sanders, McDonald, and Hanks with him. 2nd and call it 6, up at the 19-yard line. Humphries over the middle. His first pass is complete and caught by Mark Say up at the 24-yard line. A little short of the first down, 3rd and 1.
And how important is it now for San Diego to keep themselves together, not do anything desperate, stay with a game plan, not get away from it this early in the football game? And I don't think they will. But I do expect them to do a little bit more of the gambling type of offense than we would have expected.
One thing I've seen here is that Deion Sanders is locking up with Sean Jefferson, the receiver for the Chargers. He's taking him to either side of the field. We'll have to see if that continues.
3rd and 1, and they're going to open it up. The play fake, the roll, and then the pass is Eric, intended for Jefferson. So on the type of play, if you're going to button it up, you're going to give it to Means and let him do it. Instead, the Chargers go for the first down through the air, but come up empty.
You know, and Dan pointed out that he was locking up with Sean Jefferson in the game 6 weeks ago. He did not do that, and this was deliberate to go right at cornerback Deion Sanders. They knew he was going to be locked up. They tried to get to Jefferson. He was open, and it was a poorly thrown ball.
If it's a good throw, that's a completion against Sanders.
Yes.
Sanders, normally the corner on the other side of the field, at least for the first series, goes one-on-one with Jefferson.
Brian Wagner, who started the season in retirement and then picked up in the third week, gets a nice bounce as they let it roll down to the 21-yard line. Dexter Carter let it go by. It goes all the way to the 21-yard line. The kick is 55 yards. 7-0 San Francisco. 3 plays and got 7. And now San Francisco, first and 10 at the 21-yard line. And Steve Young keeps it on the ground, gives it to Ricky Watters, who picks up a yard. He's tackled there by Sean Lee, who had arthroscopic surgery a couple of weeks ago, but is healthy again and starting in the middle. 2nd and 9.
Well, Bill Arnsparger, the defensive coordinator of the San Diego Chargers, 68 years old, has a wealth of experience at his behest, and I'm sure he needed all of it to try to calm down his defensive team, which gives up a bonehead touchdown to the 49ers on their first possession. They need to come up big on this series.
2nd and 9. They give a different look with Jones set wide and in motion, and coming back the other way to Floyd. And Floyd is out to the 28-yard line, a little short of the first down. Darian Gordon makes the tackle. It'll be 3rd down and 3.
Let's take a look at the Jerry Rice touchdown. Jerry Rice caught 12 passes in the game 6 weeks ago. Here's a replay of that play, and you saw the quick read by Steve Young as he looked down. Look at that, splitting the safeties. Again, he caught 12 passes for 144 yards 6 weeks ago.
The middle of the field is only supposed to be vulnerable if you've done something with some of your safeties. Blitz them or something like that, not with both of them deep.
3rd down and 3. And Young scramble, and that's what Steve Young does, and what sets him apart as he runs for the first down. So you cover everybody, and then there's Young. First down, San Francisco, behind a Nate Singleton block.
He is so effective. He goes back. He made about 3 reads then, looking first to his tight end Brent Jones, who set up over the middle. He was covered. He looked to John Taylor. He was covered. He had the poise and the composure. There's a quick read. Brent Jones is covered. He pulls it down, and away he goes. And he is one of the better running backs on the football field, the 3rd leading rusher this season for the 49ers with nearly 300 yards.
It's almost not fair.
No, it isn't.
He averages 5.1 yards per rush. The league average is 3.7. First down at the 49-yard line. Young this time gives it, or fakes it to Floyd, then throws to Waters, who breaks a couple of tackles, and there goes Ricky for a touchdown.
Boy, I'll tell you, it was tough enough with John Taylor, Jerry Rice, and Brent Jones, but Ricky Watters has worked himself into the passing offense of the 49ers big time. The leading yardage gainer for backs and receiving this past season, and Bill Arnsparger just wondering what is happening out there. Ricky Watters wide open, no protection, no pass rush on Steve Young. He took a good blow there.
You can't miss tackles against the 49ers. You just can't do it. Stanley Richard got a shot on Ricky Watters. You just can't miss tackles downfield. You can't blow coverages. Not against a football team this good. And I'm in favor of rewinding back to the national anthem and starting over.
Doug Bryan for the point after. Well, we saw the fastest touchdown in the history of the Super Bowl. And now the 2 quickest touchdowns. This one 51 yards. We played 4 minutes and 55 seconds, and it's 14-0.
And the Chargers are doing their best to remain nameless and faceless.
Has watched his defense shredded now. 7 plays have been run by the 49ers, and they have 14 points. And in the history of the Super Bowl, the biggest margin ever overcome was 10. Here's the kickoff by Bryan. Andre Coleman takes it at the goal line. And the Kansas State rookie brings it back out to the 22, where he's tackled by Toy Cook as the Chargers come out to take the ball for the 2nd time.
Incredibly, as it was on the first touchdown to Jerry Rice, it's the 2 safeties of the Chargers that are involved. The first one is a hit by Stanley Richard. The first one by Carrington, rather. That's Darren Carrington that bounces off. And then Stanley Richard right here comes in, and he gets faked by Ricky Watters, and he has a clean whiff in the open field.
Ordinarily, your safeties have to be good tacklers in this league. I don't know, it's just almost like they're mesmerized by the 49ers.
Here's Humphries. He floats one that may have been tipped and is caught by Swain Young. They play a double tight end set for a short game. Stanley Richard is known as the sheriff. He better call for the deputies here, the way the first two touchdown plays have gone against that secondary.
And I agree with you. I thought it was tipped as well, Al. It was altered at the line of scrimmage. I think Dennis Brown, number 96. Yep, there he gets the left fingers on it, and nice piece of concentration there by Dwayne Young.
2nd and 7. They have Ronnie Harmon in the game. Number 33 was in motion, and they go right to Ronnie Harmon, and he seeks a first down and comes close to it. He is their third down specialist. He tied for the team lead in receptions with 58, and they'll probably use him more tonight on 1st and 2nd down as well.
Pittsburgh in the playoff game took him, for all intent and purposes, out of the game. Only one reception, but we're going to see a lot of Ronnie Harmon from this point on in this game because he is a fine pass receiver. You can use him out of the backfield. You can use him in a slot. You can use him as a wide receiver, and he does everything in the passing game well.
You can see just a little bit short, and the 49ers were obviously playing with the San Diego Chargers on the first series because now Deion Sanders is back at his familiar right cornerback position. As a matter of fact, Deion now looks like he's taking a stroll towards the sidelines.
Each team in its third
He comes out on
game.
short yardage, but he's sitting at his right corner position. That's last time he was locked up on Mark Say, staying at home.
Hanks goes to corner. Hall comes in at safety. 3rd down and inches, and Humphries keeps it himself and has the first down at the 33-yard line. The Chargers' initial first down.
They're a little dangerous to on 3rd down. They haven't been one of the most successful teams on 3rd down, and yet when we talked to Bobby Ross, he was talking about this game, and there's Ralph Friedgen, the offensive coordinator, been with Bobby Ross for so many years. But Bobby Ross said, look, we're going to have to do things a little different offensively, and Ralph himself agreed that they may get into a situation where they get around midfield, they get a 4th, 1 or 2. It's going to be a 4-down series for them.
First down, Deion back in and goes man-to-man with Tony Martin as Natron Means carries to the 37. Means out of North Carolina, just 22 years old, 2nd-round pick last year, came out early, and Bobby Beathard said that acquisition and Reuben Davis defensively were the 2 best moves he's made in the last 2 years.
He's made some moves in the last 2 years. Picked up 4 unprotected free agents, and all of them are starters on defense. That's how much this team has changed defensively in 1 year.
2nd and 7 at the 37-yard line. And it's Means again up to the 40-yard line. Tackled there by Bryant Young, the great-looking rookie from Notre Dame.
Bryant Young has played as well as any defensive lineman rookie that I have seen in a long, long time. He has started from day one. He has played every game. He has started every game. And the 49ers have hit consecutive home runs in the middle of their defensive line. First drafting Dana Stubblefield last year, and then this year with the #1 drafting Bryant Young.
3rd and 4. Say in motion. Humphries guns one into the 49er territory, and it is a first down. Ronnie Harmon, who played no part in the AFC Championship game, already a big part on this drive for San Diego here.
Well, the Steelers effectively took him out with their defense, and when you take Ronnie Harmon out of your offense, he is their big 3rd down receiver. 24, I think he caught over the season with a good quick move. He can plant a foot, accelerate it out of his cut, and it was a good read on the part of quarterback Stan Humphries and a good pass.
Yeah, it was a good sharp throw by Humphries. That's good to see.
6.5 minutes to go in the quarter. The fake to Means. Humphries, nobody open.
Well, his receiver falls flat on his face. Tony Martin went down to the ground, nobody to go to.
It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Stan wants to work the right side of the field the whole way. Martin goes down, tries to make his cut, plants his foot, and goes right to the turf. This time he's working against cornerback, you got it, Deion Sanders, and Deion doesn't have to do anything. Stan has to throw the ball away.
Now Sanders comes back to the other side and locks up with Sean Jefferson. It's 2nd and 10 at the 43-yard line. The short drop this time, and the quick out, and it's caught by Mark Say. His forward progress takes him to the 40. They'll be 3rd and 7. And let's get a word from Lynn Swan. Swanee?
Al, with San Diego behind by 14 points, we know they're going to put the ball in the air even more. And Bobby Ross told me before the game that he talked to Jerry Markbrecht to remind him that there's a 5-yard chucking zone. They don't want Deion Sanders to be able to put his hands all over the receivers like he did against Michael Irving in the Dallas game. So the officials will be on top of it all night long. Al?
All right, thank you, Len. 3rd down and 7. Just inside the 40, 5:50 to go. First quarter, 14-0, 49ers. This is the 9th play of the drive, and coming across the line was Dana Stubblefield. Was he induced? That's the question.
And we shall momentarily find out the answer.
Jerry Markbright.
Offside, number 94, defense, unabated toward the quarterback. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That helps a lot. That helps Ralph Friedgen upstairs. When you take a 3rd and long situation and now bring it down to something a little more manageable.
This is where I said a moment ago, they've had difficulty with the 3rd and short yards over the season.
And this is 4-down territory for the Chargers right now. You're down 14-0 against the best team we've seen in a while. This is something you take a whack at it, you don't get it, you take another whack at it.
And I think it would have been nothing to nothing. This would still be 4-down territory. 3rd and a short 2. And Ronnie Harmon has a hole to the right side. Inside the 30, down to the 25-yard line. Nice block by rookie Isaac Davis, their top draft pick out of Arkansas, to spring them. 1st down. Ronnie Harmon, who ordinarily works out of the backfield as a receiver, this time used on a little draw play to the offside, and very effective.
Isaac Davis gets moving. He's the 2nd guy from the bottom, number 73, 320 pounds, and he picks up Ken Norton Jr. coming through the middle. Big block by Papunu. Swain gets all the way across the formation. That's the best looking running play by the Chargers yet.
On 1st and 10, they give it to Natron Means. And like a pinball, he works his way down to the 21-yard line. A pickup of 4 with 4:40 to go in the first quarter.
It's more like a pin bull than a pinball.
One thing with the 49ers going up by 14 this early in the game, you really don't have to leave your game plan. You have a lot of time to get back into the football game, and this is a very effective drive that could get the Chargers back into the game. There's Means. He sort of looks like he's a little top-heavy when you get up close to him and you watch him work out, but he has amazing balance for a big man, almost 250.
He's got some legs, doesn't he?
Ooh.
On 2nd and 6, Means again. Natron inside the 15, takes it to the 10-yard line. Deion Sanders met Natron Means.
Deion's so proud of himself for getting in on a tackle. He's up high-fiving people. He was there and he survived it.
Deion's very open to the press this week down here in Miami. Says, I hate tackling. So that's for linebackers. It is the 90s, I guess.
Another good-looking play. It's really the same thing with Papunu, Swain, Davis all being involved, and Deion knifing in there.
Oh, nice tackle.
1st and goal. The nose of the ball was right on the stripe, and it's Means taking it to the 9-yard line. He's stopped by Gary Plummer, the longtime former Charger, who opted to go to San Francisco to try to get to a Super Bowl, and he did, of course, not having any idea of be facing his old mates.
A little bit ironic, except I think that Gary Plummer thought all along that he had a much better chance of getting there with the 49ers. The Chargers, they didn't look like at the second half of the season that they were going to do much of anything in the postseason. A 500 ball club down the stretch.
On 2nd and goal, Humphreys guns it.
Oh, yeah. They got Sanders that time.
Sanders got flag covering Sean Jefferson.
Oh, he almost garroted him. And right in front of the official.
That's as flagrant a defensive hold as you'll see. And
well, you know, if he hadn't held him, it might have been 6 points.
And credit the Chargers. They said they were going after Deion. They weren't gonna run and hide, and they have taken it to him.
Just take a look at Jefferson. He runs it straight down the field, brings it across, and walks Deion. He's beat here. He has to grab him, or it's going to be 6 points, and he mauled him.
No, it's not Michael Irvin, and this isn't the NFC Championship. This is the Super Bowl, and it's 1st and goal at the 1.
And Stan Humphreys has to call a timeout with 2:48 remaining in the opening quarter. It'll be the 13th play of the drive coming up. The Chargers first and goal, down by 14. Entertainment spectacular featuring Disney's Indiana Jones Adventure on the Doritos Super Bowl halftime show. Joe Robbie Stadium, Miami. The 49ers jumping out to a quick 14-0 lead, but the Chargers doing anything but rolling over and dying. Have moved down the field, first and goal at the 1. Means the tailback. They give it to Natron Means, and he's in for the touchdown behind Steve Hendrickson.
Boy, we talk about athletic ability. You saw it there. We're talking about Means, how powerful he is. He also is, he's so agile. For the man his size, this time he just hurdled over the top into the end zone.
A championship quality drive by the San Diego Chargers.
Doing what they want to do, Dan, taking time off the clock,
beautiful
getting
mix,
back into it.
Beautiful mix of plays, the run, the passes, left, right. Nice play calling by Ralph Friedgen. Good execution by his offensive team.
John Carney, who led the league in scoring, tacks on the extra point. 13 plays, 78 yards, engineered by Ralph Friedgen, the offensive coordinator. And all of a sudden, 2:44 to go in the quarter, San Diego halves the lead. Stan Humphries leading the San Diego Chargers on a drive they desperately needed at that point, with the 49ers scoring quickly. 14-0, a nightmarish beginning, but now they're right back in it.
Yeah, but now unfortunately they have to give San Francisco the ball.
And that's been a problem.
That's been a problem. The 2 times they've had it, it's been a problem for San Diego.
Carney kicks off. Dexter Carter fields the ball at the 12-yard line and brings it back out to the 31. It's a 19-yard run back. Eric Castle makes the tackle. And a little pushy-shovey.
Well, if this pushy-shovey keeps going, there's going to be a flag. It's reached the limits of how far it can go without a flag.
And the 49ers don't want to hurt Stanley Richard.
Eric Bieniemy.
Keep him in the game.
I think Eric Bieniemy is still a little bit upset over what happened to him in warm-ups.
Meanwhile, Natron Means, the youngest player now to run for a touchdown in Super Bowl history. He's not quite 23 years old.
And you would never guess whose record he beat.
9 years ago. We'll take a look.
Running backs.
You think about it.
We'll take a look at it in a minute.
And if you know it, you are a serious football junkie.
It is first down, and Jerry Rice goes in motion from the 30-yard line. Fake to Waters, over the middle. The catch is made by Jerry Rice, and out to the 49-yard line he goes. He's tackled there by Junior Seau. It's a 19-yard gain. The answer, until now, the youngest man to rush for a touchdown in a Super Bowl 9 years ago. Chicago against New England. You bet.
We told you.
Fridge in the backfield. Walter Payton didn't score that day. They got 46 points, but the Fridge did.
That was in his youth. What agility, what size, what quickness.
First down at the 49-yard line. They're going to run a reverse as Waters hands it to Jerry Rice. Rice into San Diego territory. Bumped out at the 41-yard line. Tackle made by Gordon. Took a tough hit at the end.
Well, he's taken a lot of tough hits over the years. Jerry Rice, one of the remarkable things about him, not the records that he has set, he has never missed a game because of an injury. He's taken many hits like that. One of the best conditioned athletes, hardest working athletes I have ever met.
But that was a good
inspiration to his own teammates.
I agree with you in all respects, Frank. But he didn't like this one bit. He took a good shot there from Darian Gordon. And he's going to sit this one out.
10-yard pickup. First and 10 at the 41. Young is perfect thus far. He's 5 of 5. And now he is 5 of 6 intended for Brent Jones. It's been a pretty quiet week, all things considered. Very few fireworks between these two teams. I guess the biggest story is kind of a non-story. Jerry Rice musing about retirement. But that's not going to happen.
No, I didn't. Jerry Rice was a little ill over the past 24 hours.
Yeah, Jerry made a valid point. He said, hey, I've been in the league 10 years. I have the right to think about quitting. One thing about Jerry Rice, he does want to own every passing record in the NFL history books, and he's still had a little work left to do.
He's back in on second. And Taylor makes a fabulous catch.
That's the problem. You talk about Jerry Rice on one side, and the other side is John Taylor. One of the reasons Jerry Rice, he's a great receiver, of course.
We're talking about this one, by the way, guys.
It was ruled initially a catch, and now another official may have had a better vantage point.
Well, they're still letting it stand.
I think it was a perfect catch. I mean, he went down to pull the ball up. Look at that.
Great.
Covered it with the arm.
Yes.
Oh, God,
But
that's beautiful.
if you double cover Jerry Rice, you're going to get single coverage on John Taylor.
Beautiful.
And he can kill you.
Upon further review, a first down. With 45 seconds to go in the quarter. Ricky Waters, nothing in the middle, so he goes to the outside, but Gibson gets an arm on him, and then he lost the ball, but out of bounds as Harper comes up to help out.
Ricky lost the ball, nearly lost his helmet. Excellent support on the corner by the San Diego Chargers. They can play the run, and that time they got a lot of white jerseys up there. Dennis Gibson, the hero of the game in Pittsburgh. But that was just a good collective effort by the Chargers. You string a running back out. You don't let him get his shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage. Excellent team defense by San Diego.
And we talked about Jerry Rice and John Taylor, and we have not yet heard from Brent Jones. We will soon.
They attempted that one pass to him that was incomplete. Second and 11. Young scrambling. Taken off. Inside the 20. Banged down at the 15 by Julius Seau. And Brent Jones may not be catching passes, but he threw a block right there.
Did he throw a beautiful block?
Well, directed by the maestro. Steve's pointing the guys out. Take him down, and he did.
15-yard pickup. Young has now carried twice for 36 yards and watches the first quarter expire. End of one in Miami. San Francisco 14, San Diego 7, and back we come to the Super Bowl after this message and a word from our ABC station. Second quarter about to begin. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, Super Bowl 29. 49ers have marched down the field twice. They were countered by a long San Diego drive to make it 14-7. And now as we begin period number 2, it's a 1st and 10 for the 49ers at the 15-yard line. Ricky Waters splits to the left. And Jerry Rice comes in motion. Floyd stays in the block. Young throws to Rice, and he's tackled by Darian Gordon after a minimal gain. Pickup of 3. That fits.
Bill Arnsparger took a chance there, came up the middle with the double blitz. It was handled by San Francisco, and Darian Gordon, Frank, with a good tackle.
And this is the territory where you've got to cover number 84, Brent Jones. This is where he likes to work, the big tight end.
2nd and 7. And with Floyd in motion, Reuben Davis came across the line. Reuben Davis picked up as a free agent from the Phoenix Cardinals.
It wasn't exactly an explosive.
5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Wasn't exactly an explosive move by Reuben off the ball, but I guess once you get 320 pounds going, like a ship, it just has its own momentum, and it's tough to stop.
Yep. Reuben coming over from Arizona. Most yards gained in a quarter. Washington against Denver and San Diego in January of '88, 356. They scored 5 touchdowns that day. San Francisco in the first quarter here today, 193, third most, as Floyd takes it down to the 5-yard line, fighting his way forward. He is stopped there by Dennis Gibson.
And he's real close to a first down.
Gibson making that stop. Dennis Gibson, as much as anybody else, the reason that the San Diego Chargers and not the Pittsburgh Steelers are here today.
And again, he's one of Bobby Beathard's 4 unprotected free agents that came over. Reuben Davis, we talked about him a moment ago. David Griggs was also there, part of that unprotected free agent crop, as was Dwayne Harper, the cornerback, and they all start. There's Bobby Beathard on the right.
Gibson knocking down that pass from O'Donnell intended for Foster that sent San Diego here. 3rd and inches, and Young tries to turn his shoulders and angle his way for the first down. Very close.
But Steve Young, one of the best quarterback sneaking QBs in the league because of his sense of being able to feel the softness in there and get a first down. There just wasn't much softness there. The penetration belonged that time to the guys in the white shirts, the defensive line of the Chargers. He didn't have to go very far, though. We're talking about just a couple of inches. And they're going to bring in the sticks and take a close look at this one. He looks to the left, then tries to come back to the right. He goes low. And in that situation, it is awful hard to not pick up more than a couple inches. You can see they got the nose of the ball onto the 5.
You can't hesitate either. I mean, he took a look to the left, as you pointed out, tried to take it to the right. That changes things dramatically.
It's just your offensive line has to get beaten so badly to not pick up a couple of inches on a quarterback sneak. Somehow the center has to get really blown back off the ball, and it doesn't happen all that often.
First down, 13:15 remaining in the first half. 14-7, 49ers. On first and goal from the 5. Young to Floyd. Touchdown.
Bar none.
That's what they call him. He says, I'm the best fullback in the league, bar none.
Why is it that the 49ers get 3 rookie starters on their football team, and all 3 of them look like experienced veterans? William Floyd, Lee Woodall, and Bryant Young. That's
Floyd is
extraordinary.
from Florida State. You got Woodall from Westchester State. How do you talk about him? But Bryant Young is from Notre Dame.
David Griggs, the linebacker from San Diego, is the guy that had the coverage. He's number 92 there on the left side of your screen. He's going to come in, but he's just late to get to William Floyd, and then the tackle's not made, and hey, guess what? 3 possessions, 3 49er touchdowns.
3 extra points for Brian. William Floyd trying to go from a national championship at Florida State last year to a world title with the 49ers, and his club is up 21-7. 49ers, 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. Doug Bryan to kick off.
To win this game, San Diego's going to need a big special teams play somewhere along the line.
A yard into the end zone brings it back out to the 19. He's given them some big plays this season, has Coleman. He scored 2 touchdowns on returns, and let's get a word from Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Al, the 49ers decided to come into this game and script the first 15 plays. As you mentioned, they scored 3 touchdowns in those 17 plays. A lot of Ricky Waters at wideout, but for Mike Shanahan, quite a script.
Quite an offensive coordinator as well, and a big story, and we'll detail that with Mike Shanahan before this night is done.
They've been doing that under this man for many years, and Bill Walsh before that. Mike Shanahan went to a clinic, was even in college, and that's where he picked up the routine.
Mike Shanahan, a much sought-after coach, and Humphreys gets sacked because Dana Stubblefield came bursting through, and Jerry Rice is going back to the locker room.
They were looking at his left shoulder on the sidelines while we were away, and you remember he took the shot from Darian Gordon on that reverse a short while ago, went back to play, but now I think they want to take a better look at it.
That was a line stunt by Dana Stubblefield that time, and it just wasn't handled very well by the Chargers offensive line. Stan Humphreys had no chance whatsoever, and as soon as we hear anything on Jerry Rice, we'll let you know.
8-yard sack, 2nd and 18 from the 11. And they keep it on the ground, and Natron Means probes the middle, but nothing is there for him. So 3rd and very long. And let's go back to take a look at the hit that sends Jerry Rice back to the locker room.
Remember, it was on the near sideline, and it was number 21, Darian Gordon, the cornerback for the Chargers. Here comes a hit. Jerry lowers his shoulder, but he takes the shot. He does block some of it with his left arm. And keep in mind that this is a guy that's never missed a game due to injury. We asked Jerry Rice, can he ever remember even being hurt? He said, yeah, I remember one time I had a thigh bruise back in college.
3rd and 17, and Humphreys protected well, guns it, and is fortunate it wasn't picked off by Tyrone Drakeford.
That's good coverage in the secondary, and you're right, Al, that one could have been picked off so easily, and Stan Humphreys just trying to get rid of it, throw it out of bounds, and almost lost it.
Well, 3 and out is definitely not good news for your defensive team. It puts them right back on the field. And this is a defensive football team now for San Diego that has to be completely shell-shocked.
And 3 and out deep in your own territory. Wagner sends it down to the 43-yard line. And it's Dexter Carter coming to the outside and taken down. Good coverage on the play as the tackle is made by Shannon Mitchell.
Maybe San Diego defensively can get some spirit and some good feelings by Jerry Rice not being out there with the 49ers.
It's where we're at.
The San Francisco 49ers have been unstoppable so far. 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. They'll take it. San Diego needs somebody to step up now defensively. Junior Seau has hardly had his name mentioned to this point.
And I think they'll have to get away from that zone. They're laying back there very soft, and they're going to have to do something to make something happen. And it's not going to come from that bend to don't break defense.
Everybody knew it coming into the game that there was no way they could play their passive defense. Young goes deep on him right away.
Again, and it's a little overthrown. Coverage was decent. John Taylor was the intended receiver, and Steve frustrated with himself.
The one thing with the 49ers offensively, I think defensively you sit back and you're in awe of them. And granted, they do take away you being able to do some things because they have talent all over the field, both wide receivers, the tight end, the running back. But the worst thing you can do is be passive. You can't wait for the game to happen in front of you and then hope that you make that first tackle. You got to take chances. Without taking chances, the Chargers are dead.
And you cannot miss that first tackle.
No, but they must gamble.
It is 2nd down and 10, and it's critical to stop the 49ers here. They get to stop him as McCaffrey, who's playing now because Rice is being worked on, and it is a shoulder strain. It's being iced right now in the locker room. That's why Jerry's back there. McCaffrey is in. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
McCaffrey with 11 receptions on the season came as a free agent after the Giants let him go. He was a 3rd-round pick of the Giants in '91. He's big. He's from Stanford. He's 6'5" and weighs about 215. We'll see a lot of him and probably Nate Singleton, number 88.
And here comes a monster play for San Diego's defense.
3rd down and 5 at the 49. A look into the eyes of Junior Seau. Stays back in pass protection. It's deflected and incomplete. McCaffrey couldn't hold on. Almost picked off. David Griggs was there.
One that could have been caught by the 6'5" McCaffrey, but it had an awful lot on it. Very uncharacteristic of Steve Young. He just smoked that in there, and McCaffrey would have been close to the 1st down, but he just zipped that in there. Very difficult for McCaffrey to hold on.
And we will see the first punt of the day for the 49ers. Here it is again.
There's McCaffrey.
Yep. The ball.
And he was there.
It was high and behind him. It was not a very good throw by Steve Young.
Klaus Wilmsmeyer has one of the cushiest jobs in America. The punter for the 49ers.
He scored more touchdowns than he's punted, right?
It's fielded at the 18-yard line by Darian Gordon, but the coverage is great. The kick pinned him against the sideline. The crowd wants a flag for a late hit. Kevin Mitchell was there for the coverage. No mark. 10:30 remaining in the opening half in Miami. A 14-point 49er lead. Temple of the Forbidden Eye on the Doritos Super Bowl halftime show. Well, the Chargers did what they had to do defensively. Now let's see what they can do offensively. 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line. They were able to stop San Francisco, and now they begin this drive with Natron Means, who's dragged down from behind. Ricky Jackson, the longtime Saint, came for a small salary, got a huge bonus when they made it to the Super Bowl, and playing in the big show for the first time. Flag down.
You wouldn't think that a guy like Ricky Jackson, after 14 years in the league, still has that kind of foot speed, especially for a pretty good-sized guy, but he chases this thing down all the way.
Came from the short side to guard and a tackle on that side. He's been around enough to read that, the H-back leading the play.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 73, offense. After the play was over, 15-yard penalty, and the down counts. It'll be half the distance to the goal.
Ooh, that does hurt.
That is a costly penalty on Isaac Davis. Here's Ricky Jackson.
Just outside the tackle. When the tackle comes down, he just pursues behind it.
Isaac Davis came around and made a good block on the play, and then afterwards gets involved in something that gets a flag tossed. And the biggie there is you not only have the yardage, but the good play by Jackson stands. That's Carl Mock, the offensive line coach of the San Diego Chargers. So you not only have a loss of yardage, but actually a loss of down as well.
2nd and 19 now. Pump Humphreys going deep. The coverage is good, though. It looked as if somebody threw something, but it wasn't a flag.
Threw his hat to mark right where he might have caught the ball.
Al, your call was Humphreys going deep. Humphreys was going deep into the end zone, flat on his back, courtesy of Dana Stubblefield. Stan under tremendous pressure trying to find somebody open.
And even under that kind of pressure, he was very careful. He was not going to turn it over. He threw that ball where only his man could take it. This is what you spoke of a moment ago. And he laid it up high, and Stubblefield unloaded on him.
Well, he beats the rookie, Isaac Davis, to the inside. Not a good series here for young Mr. Davis.
Not so far. Third down and 19. Humphreys throwing out of the end zone, and it's incomplete. The Niners secondary doing a terrific job. Papuna was the intended receiver, and it's fourth down again.
Ooh, risky business for Stan Humphreys. Close to a two-pointer, had a lot of presence, knew where he was not going to throw the interception, threw it in the direction of the receiver, and avoided the two.
Boy, credit the 49ers. Stan Humphrey must have held that football for 7 seconds at least, and still couldn't find anybody to throw it to. What a job of coverage by the 49ers.
Brian now, and that one made contact with a 49er, but look at that roll, and it will turn out to look pretty good on the stat sheet. Adam Walker was rushing the kicker and may have gotten a hand on it, but the Chargers get away with one there. Despite the deflection, that kick is of 40 yards length.
There's Walker, great special teams player for the 49ers. Gets a hand on it.
Adam Walker right here, he's going to be turned completely loose, and he comes in and he does get a hand on the football. Unbelievably, they just let him go, and he does deflect the football, and I've never seen a deflected ball travel farther than that.
41 yards officially as William Floyd takes it down to the 46.
How do you get a 41-yard punt when it's tipped?
Meanwhile, Jerry Rice has come back onto the field and has come back into the game.
So Rice missed a series. They ice his shoulder. Back he comes. And when Jerry was in there, the 49ers marched 59, 79, and 70 yards to their three scores. Second and 7 at the 46. 9 minutes to go in the half. 21-7, San Francisco. Young guns it to Jones, and the tight end makes the catch at the 39-yard line, and that should be enough for a first down. Let's get the update on Jerry Rice from Leslie Visser.
Al, Jerry just sat in a chair for about 5 or 10 minutes. He had tape on him, and they put some extra padding. He says he's ready to go, Al.
Okay, Jerry Rice, who, well, by the time he's finished, will not only own most regular season receiving marks, but a lot of Super Bowl records as well. He's already won one Super Bowl MVP award and was hugely instrumental in another San Francisco Super Bowl victory. From the 39-yard line, Young going for the man, and it's broken up by Darian Gordon.
Boy, it was a good read and a good change at the line of scrimmage by Steve Young. And Rice splitting the coverage. The ball hanging just a little bit, and let's take a look now again. He drives it to the inside. He set up to the inside, and Darian Gordon completely turned around, got back into it. And the second-year man out of Stanford, first-year pick a year ago, makes a good play. And it was a good read. He spins him clear around, and Young a little slow in getting it to him.
I would have to say that when Jerry Rice spins a corner all the way around, 99 times out of 100, that's a completed pass. That ball was late getting there from Young.
Second and 10, and he fires a slant over the middle. It's caught by Jerry Rice. They've run that play a million times, seemingly, with probably a 90% success rate.
People, I don't think, realize how many of the 49er passes are such quick rhythm and really just 5-yard completions. All week long, the 49ers, the Chargers rather, have had a saying: 5-yard pass, 6-yard gain. They are really emphasizing that we must make the tackle and we must make it on the spot of the reception. At times tonight they have.
On the 27-yard line, Taylor makes the catch after Young had to check off, and nice coverage there by Harper.
A perfect example of the 49er passing attack right there. It's just how many times have we seen John Taylor turn that into a big play?
Of course, it begins right there with this man, Steve Young. He reads it so well, and he's in such good sync with Mike Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, who is now so thoroughly familiar with this offense and what Young can do. But make no mistake about it, this is Steve Young's team. He even admitted it down here this year. This is my team. But he is so good at the reads, coming off one receiver, finding the next one.
Leading the league in passing for a 4th consecutive season. 2nd and 6. Rolling left. Oh, what a move by Jerry Rice again. Takes it to the 15-yard line. That's a first down. Ran around Griggs.
And what presence, too. He knew he went right into the turf, avoided taking another shot, but he also knew he had the first down.
That was a 5-yard pass, but it was not a 6-yard gain.
Little rollout now on the part of Steve Young as he floats out to the left. Rice with a lot of presence, knowing where he had to get for the first down.
And a little moisture for the first time tonight.
Well, it's late in arriving. It has been predicted all day. It was raining on the west coast of Florida 4 or 5 hours ago, and they thought it would get here before now.
Here's Floyd. And the rookie pulls his way down to the 9-yard line. He's tackled there by Junior Seau and Stanley Richards.
Floyd came out of as a #1 draft pick from Florida State, rated as one of the best blockers in the collegiate game, but he also had rushed for well over 300 yards. We saw him catch a touchdown pass earlier.
Well, Floyd has added such a dimension to this San Francisco offense. He brings a punishing running style and a power between the tackles that's such a huge addition to their offense.
2nd and 4 from the 9-yard line. Ricky Waters fights his way down to the 8-yard line. He's wrapped up there by Chris Mims.
The two, Floyd and Ricky Waters, have complemented each other so much. They're like a cheering squad for each other. When you talk with them, they're so and they want the other to do so well, and yet they're the kind of player that wants the football all the time.
Well, Ricky was just delighted to find a teammate who's as hyper as he is.
Well, I was talking around it. I mean, you don't.
Well, let's face it.
I was trying to say that.
At times, Ricky Waters has been over-exuberant on the football field. He's cost his team. But this man loves to play. He loves to win. And look at it. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. George Seifert has had to reel him in at times, but Ricky Waters can play the game of football. He's a fine all-around back.
And it was William Floyd who brought his head coach into the 90s, so to speak, in the Detroit game, game number 5.
49ers take a timeout here preparatory to a 3rd and 3 from the 8.
Game number 5, the Detroit game. It was Floyd who got the touchdown. He gave it a dance for a rookie, and Seifert had words with me. He said, come on, coach, this is the 90s.
Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes, based in nearby Pompano Beach, floating above Joe Robbie Stadium, which opened in 1987, was the vision and was named after the late owner of the Dolphins, Joe Robbie. After so many years at the Orange Bowl, they moved up here, and it's now not only the home of the Dolphins, but the Florida Marlins of the National League in baseball.
Great look there. Craig Janoff, our director tonight, bringing you these wonderful pictures. Of course, Kenny Wolf producing, as usual. Super Bowl 20. I'm glad this game's at night. We just don't function very well during the day, do we?
We're not day creatures enough.
George Seifert, who I think when Deion Sanders came earlier in the year, the character of this team turned around, and he had a long meeting with Deion Sanders, and that didn't go all that well, as expressed by Deion Sanders, but he has become quite a fan of Sanders. Sanders is as hard a working football player as you would ever want. He works about as hard as he does putting on his show for you, and one of the most gifted athletes I've ever watched. Certainly, I think maybe the fastest man in this game today.
And becoming the first man ever to appear in a World Series, and he played extremely well for Atlanta against Toronto a couple of years back, and a Super Bowl. 3rd and 3 now after the timeout. And the Chargers blitz, but Young gets it off to Ricky Waters for the touchdown.
Well, I'll tell you, the Chargers don't blitz much. They blitzed on the Jerry Rice touchdown at the very beginning of the game. They blitzed there. I mean, Steve Young with the perfect read.
I don't blame them for blitzing. We talked earlier, Bill Arnsparger can't just sit back. That is just perfect execution. Ricky Watters is what they call the hot receiver. The linebacker blitzes to his side. The man who's supposed to cover him is clear back in the end zone. Griggs comes up, but Steve Young gets it past David Griggs, right to Ricky Watters. It's just perfectly executed by the 49ers. That is why they are the best team in football.
And maybe the best offensively that has ever been in football.
There are more than just a few coaches around the NFL that think this is the finest offensive machine that's ever been assembled.
Doug Bryan boots it through. Testimony to the fact, best offensive team ever, perhaps. Doug Bryan, the kicker, has not made anything remotely resembling a critical kick all season, or a pressure-packed kick, because they've been blowing out teams week after week after week.
That is a play that is just not that easily executed, and Young, Watters, and the rest of the members of the San Francisco offense make it look like all they're doing is playing pitch and catch in a park on a Saturday afternoon.
And of course the job,
what do you say,
is in the hands of Bill Arnsparger, and this kind of tells it all. I mean, how do you stop all the weapons that the 49ers can present? You don't.
Well, he's not alone. Every defensive coordinator in the league has faced the problems this year, and I guess when you look back at this regular season, the weirdest score of any regular season game had to be Philadelphia 40, San Francisco 8. You think back now and you say, how in the world did that happen?
Yeah, they were 3-2 at that point, and there were people calling for George Seifert's job, right? You can believe that as you look back to that period of time.
He was funny. Somebody asked him about a poll. It's one of those goofball polls, and something like 85% of the respondents said fire him. And they asked him about it this week, and George said, I want to thank the 15% that voted for me.
Then the next week they go into Detroit. They're trailing 14-0, and that's when you talk to the 49ers, that's when they feel they turned the season around. Steve Young beaten up, crawling off the field, and they came back to win that game 27-21, and they've been, well, they just kind of almost gave one again to Minnesota in the final game of the season.
Ryan sends it down to Andre Coleman. Brings it back out to the 25-yard line. He's tackled there by McCaffrey with 4 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the first half. Steve Young at the age of 33, at the very, very top of his game, 4 touchdown passes and a half, tying a Super Bowl mark. Doug Williams of the Redskins in a game in 1988 following the 87 season.
We got to see them both.
We did, yep. And, you know, the amazing thing about that game is that was the biggest come-from-behind effort in Super Bowl history. Denver actually led 10-0,
right,
and Washington won the game 42-10.
And incredibly, Timmy Smith, the running back of the Redskins, was the most valuable player in that game.
Right, and Ricky Sanders had an unbelievable day as Natron Means runs into a gang. Tim McDonald and others leading the charge.
Well, there's something that happens to a football game late in the season, a playoff game, when you're down by this big a score. Emotionally, it happens on both sides of the ball. You can't hardly avoid this kind of a feeling. That's Junior Seau. He knows, I think, that this game is pretty much gone. And on the other side of the ball, the 49ers, you can just see them. They're bouncing all over the field, and they're going to attack.
Well, they better get a first down, or Steve Young's going to have a shot at 5 touchdown passes and a half.
Second down and 8 from the 27-yard line. And the catch is made by Say, and Mark Say takes it out to the 45-yard line.
I want to correct myself. I misspoke when I said that Timmy Smith was the MVP. Timmy Smith had, what, 205, 204,
204, I believe.
204. But Doug Williams was the most valuable player. For those of you keeping track of the trophies at home, I want to correct myself. That was Timmy Smith's moment in the sun, though. He
switchboarded, really lighted up, Dan.
So, no, I don't think it got to that point yet.
Well, Doug had called
one fleeting moment in the sun. He was a Bobby Beathard find. They give it to Means, and on a reverse, Shawn Jefferson into San Francisco territory, and he takes it to the 46. Merton Hanks makes the tackle.
Yeah.
We can be accused of hyping it in this particular instance, 28-7. I mean, they lead by 21 to the Niners, but of all the teams in the league that have shown the propensity and ability to come back, as we mentioned at the very top, it's the team in charge of those fellas running it. Bobby Ross as well. They came from 18 back on opening night against Denver, 15 against Miami, 10 against Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago. Well, who knows? From the 46. Middle screen. Eric Bieniemy handles the ball for the first time of the game. And he's off to the races. And Eric Bieniemy is out of bounds inside the 15 at the 13-yard line.
Well, how quickly we have gone from talking about Steve Young and the possibilities of a 5th touchdown pass to now we're looking at the Chargers possibly getting some points.
Bieniemy on picking up a little blitz and then releasing to the outside, getting a good block and taking it down the sidelines. Let's take a look at it. Stan Humphries looking downfield. There's Bieniemy. That was a screen pass, as a matter of fact. A two-man screen. He gets the block right there.
And
points out another block and gets the first down.
It's perfectly done by Bieniemy when he popped Ricky Jackson.
First down. Humphries buys time. Fabulous protection. Guns it, and it's broken up. Intended for Tony Martin. And Eric Davis, the only man in the Niners secondary not going to the Pro Bowl next week, who's had a fabulous postseason. His interception and touchdown run back set the tone in the Dallas game. He created a fumble, breaks it up.
And he had a great season also, Al. He had a terrific, fabulous season, postseason. But watch this. This is good coverage. He reads the eyes, moves back into it, and is right there for the play on Tony Martin.
2-minute warning.
Look at that last play, the attempted pass to Tony Martin. Tony Martin, this ball could have been caught. Davis, I can't tell if he touches it or not, but that ball bounces off both hands and the chest of Tony Martin. It did not look to me like Eric Davis touched it. That could have been a San Diego touchdown.
2nd and 10. Humphries throwing, and Marksay cannot come up with it. Had position. Merton Hanks was trailing him, but it's incomplete.
It would have been a great catch, but it was catchable, and that's two that appeared, even though difficult, certainly were catchable from the arm of Stan Humphries. Hanks back on the defense. He's beaten to the outside, right off the fingertips, and again, it would have been a great catch. The one that could have been caught when you're down by this many points should have been caught.
You can't beat the 49ers without making some big plays. And those were 2 big plays that weren't made.
3rd and 10, and the pass is a little high, intended for Albert Papunu, who scored the huge touchdown against Pittsburgh, and that's incomplete. Tim McDonald with the coverage. So they go from 1st and 10 to 4th and 10, and John Carney comes in to try to kick a field goal.
And really, those were some pretty good throws by Stan Humphries that come up with nothing. That last one was just a good play by Tim McDonald. But those first 2 passes, one of them could have been a touchdown for San Diego. When you're a big underdog and you are playing somebody as good as the 49ers, you got to make big plays.
31-yard attempt for Carney out of Gail Gilbert's hold, and that is good. So they do come up with 3. The Charger cannon goes off. 1:44 remaining in the first half, and it is now 28-10 San Francisco.
Say again, another look. One that most certainly could have been caught. I think Mark Say would tell you, yeah, I should have caught the ball. Problem now, they have left the 49ers a lot of time on the clock.
$1:44.
They can go. They could go to Tampa in 1 minute and 44 seconds.
Tuesday night, a brand new show comes to ABC, the special preview of The Marshal, starring Jeff Fahey. Tuesday night, following Grace Under Fire. Joe Robbie Stadium on this late January Sunday evening at about 20 of 8. Temperature today up in the 70s. We have a little bit of moisture, but nothing serious.
Each club has 2 timeouts remaining, so the 49ers will see what kind of yardage they get here. Deion Sanders is going back along with Dexter Carter back to the goal line for the 49ers, so you're going to see a little electricity if number 21 grabs
Where do you think Carney's going to try to place this?
Well, he's going to try to place it towards the direction of Dexter Carter. Let's see if he can do it.
1:44 left in the half, and he does go Carter's way. Carter makes the catch at the 12-yard line. Brings it out to the 23-yard line, where he's tackled by Eric Bieniemy. Well, the 49ers tonight came out roaring, scoring on their first 3 possessions. Then Jerry Rice was back in the locker room, and they were 3 and out with a punt. Rice came back in. Not that he was necessarily that instrumental on the drive, but back they went again into the end zone. 4 touchdown passes for Steve Young, and 28-10 with still a ton of time remaining. 1:38.
Deion right at the point of the wedge on that kickoff return by his teammate Dexter Carter.
He was looking like he thought Dexter was going to run a reverse. He was so far out of it.
From the 23-yard line, Young for Jones, and he makes the catch. And he's a tight end who not only goes over the middle and underneath, but deep down the sideline.
And he gets out of bounds. It's really, sometimes you wonder if it's fair. You split Brent Jones out all the way. He's a tight end. Ricky Watters is flanked out the other direction. You've got tight ends. Look at him. That's where the split end or the flanker should be all the way.
Well, look who he's got
Rice.
on him, though, Don.
Yeah.
They're trying to cover him with David Griggs, the linebacker. No, that's ludicrous.
But it's the formation that sent the Chargers haywire, because you got Jerry Rice to the inside and Jones to the outside.
Year after year, they give you more looks than any team in the league. Floyd makes the catch. It started with Bill Walsh. There's no question about that. They have really just kept the system in place every year since 1979.
That's just a brilliant move on the part of Mike Shanahan. He knows that they're going to have linebacker.
1:10 remaining in the half, and Rice makes the catch and steps out of bounds, making sure he had the first down. There is Mike Shanahan. I'll tell you this, he is number one. If he showed any interest in the L.A., St. Louis, or wherever Rams, he'd be number 1 on their list.
You his agent?
Are you trying to?
I'm just telling
You're making some deal for him.
telling you what
and you are
what the
so
deal
right.
is.
There's no question about it. He is
To be his agent. Second down, and
Head coach. On in the season. You know, that's where the free agency market was really trying to find its way. And Ken Norton and Ricky Jackson that you're looking at right there, and Gary Plummer, these people were, you got a couple of rookies in Woodall and Young. They just had not found their way, and Ray Rhodes said this was not a really good defensive team until the second half of that Detroit game that you talked about earlier, Frank.
Ryan, a 47-yard field goal attempt. Wilmsmeyer puts it down, and the kick is short.
and bad.
And wide.
And wide.
And
No good. And errant.
Well, again, there's a guy we talked earlier. He hasn't had a lot of really pressure-packed kicks, and I'm not sure that a 28-10 attempted field goal is pressure-packed. But this one was missed badly. Ooh, the laces are not where you normally expect to see them, Frank.
No, I don't know whether some kickers don't like that. Others doesn't bother them, and O'Brien,
he knew
it must bother him.
Yeah, that's where you poke your drive right into the woods on the right side of the fairway, and you know it the minute you strike it.
Well, let's see if the Chargers, with 30 seconds and 2 timeouts, can work their way into field goal range as Humphries throws. The catch is made. It's a 9-yard pickup to the 46-yard line. Sean Jefferson, the receiver, and timeout is called. That took 6 ticks off the clock. 24 seconds remain.
If they're thinking 6, their kicker John Carney, his best for the season was 50 yards. He made that a couple of times. He's right on the edge of 50.
Now, does that leave San Diego with 1 left?
One timeout remaining. John Carney, one of the very best. He holds the record for most consecutive field goals, 29, from 1992 through the beginning of 93. That marks in jeopardy, though, when next season begins. Fuad Reveiz of Minnesota begins the year with 28 in a row. So Carney hopeful of getting in. Well, he's hopeful of getting in for an extra point is what he's hopeful of right now. But at least for 3.
Ricky Jackson asking Jerry Markwright if he'd heard about how big a bonus he got when they won the NFC Championship game.
800 grand.
800 and change. It was somewhere around 850 something.
Good crew here tonight, Jerry Markwright. This is his 4th Super Bowl. Guy's doing a great job.
Ricky Jackson, the oldest guy in the game, will be 37 in a couple of months.
And we saw him make that good play earlier in the second quarter where he chased it down from behind, showing a good burst.
Second.
Jackson was in the vicinity.
Take a peek.
Let's take a good look at it. There's Ricky Jackson, 57.
Yep.
He did get his hand on it. We have seen punts deflected to keep on going, passes deflected to keep on going.
3rd and 1.
I don't know that means anything. We've just seen it.
Freeze from Martin, and he's out in front, and it is broken up at the goal line. Eric Davis. Staying right with him as Humphreys unloads, but the ball hung, and Eric was able to get back and break it up.
That's unusual, and such a strong arm on the part of Humphreys.
Are they ruling that he caught that? Are they
going to give it to him, I think.
Yeah, they made.
If you have possession when you go into the end zone.
Well, look, they're going to say this is an interception.
Boy, look at how he closed it down on Martin. Martin is thinking 6 right here. Here comes Eric Davis. He tucks it away. If he has possession when he hits
the ball was intercepted in the end zone for a touchback.
Well, the ball was on the far side of Eric Davis. He hit the ground, and it came out, and they give him credit for the interception. And the touchback, 49er ball at the 20.
It would be just as though you went into the end zone as a leaping running back landing in the end zone. The knee is down, and when he hits, the ball comes out.
Well, I always thought that an interception was the same as a reception. That when
he's got it away.
But you've got to demonstrate control of the football. It means precious little at this point in time. Eric Davis gets the interception, and the 49ers lead by 18.
Means a lot to Eric Davis.
Yeah, it sure does.
Davis is 4th in postseason, so a frustrating half for Martin and the Chargers as they leave the field with San Francisco leading San Diego at the half. 49ers 28, Chargers 10. Our halftime show coming up after this message and a word for ABC Station. The 49ers, who are on fire in the first half and leading by a score of 28-10 as we get set for the second half of Super Bowl 29.
And the lightning bolts right now have been reduced to a football team that just simply can't afford to make a mistake in the second half. They have to play error-free football in an attempt to slowly crawl back into this football game. And again, they'd be helped immensely by a big play on special teams, an interception, any type of a defensive score. They need some lightning to strike in their favor.
A one-hopper by Bryant to Andre Coleman. And he slips down at the 19-yard line. So they don't get, as a flag goes down, they don't get that big special teams play, but it would help immensely, obviously, for San Diego.